Nick with Sterling Equipment and Repair in Cottonwood, Minnesota. Today we're going to do a walk around of the Kuhn Krause Gladiator 1205 full type. We're going to hit on a few key features of it and go over a little bit of the technology incorporated with it. So let's get started. We'll go ahead and start at the front of the machine today. Our hitch options are an articulating ball with a Cat 3 or Cat 4 size pin. And it is adjustable up and down so that you get your frame height at the correct level. Moving back on the machine, we have what they call the tractor interface center. It's a pivoting holder for hoses, wires. You store your hydraulic hoses here so they're not dragging on the ground when you're transporting the implement without hydraulics hooked up. And it's just a nice place to keep them out of the dirt when it's in your shed. It's also the location of your safety shutoff valves for your hydraulics, your light plug for your warning lights on the implement, and on the back side here we have your operator manual storage as well as any other literature you'd want to keep in there. As we move backwards on the machine, you'll notice that nice large heavy frame. It's beefed up so that it can hold the 9-ton Montag fertilizer delivery system, and part of that was they went from the implement tires to a 440 metric tire. This is a super nice tire. It's large, and the roadability of it is very nice. Another thing I'd like to touch on this point of the machine is your transport width. This is an 8-row 30 machine. They are not currently making a narrow row machine, but they are working on it. It goes all the way from 8 up to 16 in this configuration, and then if you go any larger than 16, you have to go to a wheel rich bar. But anyways, on this 830, the wing actually folds all the way over, as opposed to the larger models, the wing folds forward and rests right here. And so your transport width is actually basically the outside of the tire here. When this thing is folded up, it's very narrow. It's like 12 and a half feet is the transport width on this 8-row 30-inch machine. And so you have that nice narrow transport width for taking it down the road. While the option isn't included on this specific machine, I would like to point out that Kuhn Krause also offers a hitch for the back of the Gladiators that extends back, and it allows you to pull a anhydrous ammonia tank. The hitch is extendable, it moves from side to side, and it's got a winch on it so that it's really easy to hook up to it with just one person. You get close enough and you let the winch do the rest of the work. Now let's get to the heart of the Kuhn Krause Gladiator, the ST Pro row unit. This row unit comes in two different varieties, a spring reset variety and a shear bolt variety. In our part of the country, the only one we're ever going to see is a spring reset, just because of the rocks and stuff that we have to deal with. Starting at the front of the row unit, we've got a nice large coulter that is independently adjustable from the rest of the row unit. And that's used to cut the residue at the beginning of this strip till machine. Following that, we've got floating trash whippers or trash removers. There's weights on the inside of these, so for different residue situations you can add or remove weights. But these are free floating, so they're not going to plow dirt like some will. They're just going to get the residue out of the way, and they're not actually doing any tillage, which we don't want them to do any tillage. That's not their function. There's also scrapers incorporated onto the coulters that prevent dirt and mud buildup on the coulters. As we move back on our row unit, we come to our shank. The shank is capable of going from 6 to 12 inches deep in 1-inch increments. Once again, there's two different point options on this. You can go with a rock hardened point or just kind of their standard point. In our area, we're going to go with the rock point again, just because we deal with so many rocks. On the back of the shank, we have our drop zone nutrient placement. That allows you to do dry fertilizer, liquid fertilizer, or a combination of the two. Or you can also run anhydrous ammonia in through here. Moving back from the shank, we have our closing wheels, or berming wheels, some call them. Like the row cleaners, these are a floating design, and they can be adjusted from 2 degrees to 10 degrees to 18 degrees for a different size berm. As we move back from there, you're going to see the last thing on the ST Pro row unit is the Striker soil conditioner chain basket. This works very well in all soil types, but especially soils that have a little bit of moisture in them, because the chains are constantly moving. It's not like a bar reel where it builds up with dirt and mud. Those chains are constantly moving, and so it's throwing that dirt and debris off of the chains, and you're not going to have the plugging issues with this Striker soil conditioner. There's two very appealing characteristics of the ST Pro row unit. One is that all of the rotating assemblies on this row unit use the same bearing. It's a greaseless triple seal bearing. And so you only have to have a couple of them on hand, and you don't have to worry about having a different bearing for each part. The only place that's not a bearing is in the float and closing discs. There is a bushing, and that's also greaseless. So these row units are completely maintenance free. Other than the occasional bearing change, there's nothing on here that has to be greased daily. Another characteristic about the ST Pro row unit that's really appeasing to me is that all of the adjustments are toolless. And so to change your angle of your closing blades, there's just a spring-loaded lever right there, and that allows you to change between that 2, that 10, and that 18. To change your shank depth, you lift up on the spring latch right here, and you can adjust your shank then from that 6 to 12 inches in the 1-inch increments. And then the last adjustment that you would have would be the aggressiveness of your burring discs. You can leave them in a full float position, or if you're in a tougher soil, you can move the lever and you can lock them down so they can't float as high, and that's going to give you a little bit better berm in a tougher soil. That's going to wrap things up for our walk around of the 1205 Gladiator. We are a full Kuhn Krause dealer, so any Kuhn Krause tillage implements. And obviously, if you want more information, feel free to contact us, and we can sit down and talk about specifics on the different row configurations and everything that they have available. Once again, we're Sterling Equipment. Make sure you check out our website and view our other videos on YouTube.